Good evening. On TV 47 News tonight, another flop in the Senate, another Tuesday, another Senate sitting and bickering like in the last 7 sittings. Still no clear signs that a deal on the county's revenue share will be reached. It is a long night for the senators and a dreaded one for the counties. We follow the developing story for you. Also tonight, Nairobi in limbo. Beatrice Elachi resigns from the post of Nairobi County Assembly Speaker, deepening the leadership crisis in Kenya's capital. Mike Sonko downplays the power vacuum fears, insisting he is still the governor of Nairobi City County. The details here tonight. Plus, NMS not ready for COVID-19. Public health facilities in Nairobi are ill-prepared to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ministry of Health reveals that private hospitals have been taking the COVID-19 burden in Nairobi. Tonight we tell you why more studies are being undertaken. And more prayer time. The clergy's prayers have been answered. The Interfaith Council has revised COVID-19 worship guidelines, increasing the service time and congregation limits. More worshippers and extended worship time in keeping with COVID-19 protocols. Good evening. Tonight of all nights, Anne Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV 47 News tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi, begins right now. Nairobi County Assembly Speaker Beatrice Elachi resigned earlier today, citing frustrations and threats to her life. Elachi leaves office. She leaves office at a time when Nairobi County is in limbo. There is leadership vacuum, as well as power wrangles. Which way Nairobi? Mwangi Maina interrogates.
Tuesday morning, and former besieged Nairobi County Speaker Beatrice Elachi made entry into the county assembly, a move that was unexpected and caught many by surprise. Elachi headed to her office and after meeting for more than an hour, made the following pronouncement.
I want to humbly tender my resignation to His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces.
Elachi appointed the Deputy Speaker John Kamango as acting Speaker until the Assembly elects a substantive Speaker.
Kama nitapata kazi tena katika administration ya Jubilee, nitaifanya kadri ya katiba jinsi inavyosema.
The embattled Speaker, whose tenure was marred by chaos, fightings and running battles at City Hall, attributing her predicament to threats and intimidation.
I am free, I can do any politics. I'll do the politics. And I'm going back to my Dagoretti North now.
Elachi made a noisy comeback at the Assembly last year after she was impeached by the Assembly. She leaves office at a time when the county of Nairobi seems leaderless and rulerless. At the center of her resignation is power wrangles on the control of the city. Elachi, who supports the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, has not been seeing eye to eye with Governor Mike Sonko. Constant chaos and bickering between the two factions of county MCAs who support Sonko and those who support Elachi and the Nairobi Metropolitan Services have been the hallmark of Elachi's leadership. After a noisy and chaotic tenure, Elachi is gone, leaving the city in limbo. After months of disputes and power wrangles at the Nairobi County Assembly, Beatrice Elachi resigned today as a county speaker, leaving a power vacuum in the Nairobi City County, which most of the functions have already been taken by the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Now Kenyans waiting to see what will happen to the Nairobi County Assembly. Reporting for TV 47 from the Nairobi City, my name is Mwangi Maina.
Elsewhere, Nairobi County leadership now stands at the balance after the resignation of the County Assembly Speaker at a time when the county is operating without a deputy governor or a substantive clerk. And as Josh Onsare now reports, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko insists that he is still the county boss, even after some of his functions were handed over to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services.
Nairobi County, for months now, has faced power wrangles, the county leadership now in limbo. The county operating without a deputy governor after the resignation of Polycarp Igathe in January 2018. And with the resignation of the county speaker Beatrice Elachi, things seems to have fallen from bad to worse. The national government has taken over some county functions, but Governor Sonko insists he is still the county boss.
Tuliposaini mimi na wewe rais mambo ya NMS, hatukusaini tukasema huyu generali akuje anisukume mimi nje. Kwa sababu mimi sikushindwa na kazi. Kabla NMS ikuje, ukienda Mukuru kwa Ruben, mimi ndio gavana wa kwanza kuleta maendeleo Mukuru kwa Ruben.
This comes at a time when there has been political pressure for Nairobi County to be dissolved. President Kenyatta, while launching the construction of hospitals in Kibra and Mukuru kwa Ruben Estate, said the leadership of Nairobi Metropolitan Service has performed well in service delivery in what appears to endorse NMS delivery.
Nashukuru sana waheshimiwa ma-MCA kwa vile wametuunga mkono kwa kazi hii ya NMS, kwa sababu ni kazi ya kubadilisha maisha ya mwananchi wa kawaida wa mji huu wetu wa Nairobi. Mutatuunga mkono kwa hiyo kazi? Munataka tuendelee ama tuachane naye kwa sababu ya siasa?
Legally, the county assembly speaker should take over the leadership of the county in an acting capacity if the office of the governor and the deputy governor falls vacant. The resignation of the speaker now leaving the county at the verge of falling into leadership vacuum if the office of the governor fell vacant. Meanwhile, the current acting speaker John Kamangu is among 7 Nairobi senators who have been summoned by the Jubilee Party for misconduct. They are supposed to appear before the party committee on Thursday. Governor Sonko has been threatening to move to court to demand reinstatement of the services under the NMS.
Maendeleo sasa, na ndivyo nimeamua chini ya Jemedari Bandi, na nimemwambia tunataka kuona maendeleo katika kila mtaa wa Nairobi hii yetu.
Josh Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, the Senate has failed for the 8th time to pass the third basis of revenue sharing formula. Moments ago, Speaker of the Senate, Kenneth Lusaka, adjourned the sitting on Thursday, when the senators shall carry on with the debate on the emotive and highly divisive revenue sharing stalemate.
It's not tomorrow. In Makueni County is saying, I want to lose 107 million today, not tomorrow. Murang'a County, they want to make Murang'a County to lose 15 million today, not tomorrow. I wish, by the way, you agree to my motion. Mr. Speaker, Treasury, a lot of resources. That's why I stand here to say, because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, it's my responsibility to exercise my duty as a national patriot that, Mr. Speaker, if more money have to go to Elgeyo Marakwet County, it should not be at the expense of our sister counties that are missing development. And if national government really loves Elgeyo Marakwet County, why give us 300 million? And steal from us Aurora and Kimware Dam of 63 billion, Mr. Speaker.
This argument today. We have been sent by our counties to hunt for big game. We are sent to hunt for elephants. And we ended up trapping a squirrel. Now we are fighting over a squirrel. What a shame to us. We are fighting over a rabbit. Haniri, Senator, we are fighting over a rabbit between Siaya and Vihiga.
When we of doom addressed issues of an equal distribution of resources in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you go to Turkana County right now, they have immense minerals. But the people who are benefiting from Turkana minerals are not the Turkanas, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you go to Taita Taveta, they have immense resources.
in terms of Gamestone. But the people benefiting from Taita Taveta are not the people from Taita Taveta. Mr. Speaker, when you come to Ikolomani and Rosterman in Kakamega County, we have immense of gold, but the people benefiting out of the gold of Kakamega are not the lawyers of Kakamega. And therefore the spirit that you are pushing of one man.
Mr. Speaker, this being the 10th formula, I want to assure you that if you continue this way, I will also come up with a formula. They have said one man, 1 shilling. I am going to say 1 fish, 1 shilling. Because this formula, Mr. Speaker...
Oh.
Order, senators. Order, senators. Order, senators. Order, senators. I'm on my feet. Can we allow Senator Dulo to finish?
Mr. Speaker, I don't see why people are making noise here, because we have given opportunities to each and every senator in this house. Yeah? There are no senators who are special than others, and there is no county that is more special than others. Mr. Speaker, we must make a
because the world is not ending today at 9 o'clock, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is our submission that we should be able to adjourn at least by 8:30, so that those of us who live far can get home by 9, because we are lawmakers and not lawbreakers.
The requests here, and given that we have 2 more amendments to go, and given the ruling that I gave 2 weeks ago, it's not practical that we can be able to conclude this matter.
For a record 8th time, the Senate has adjourned. Senators failing to reach a consensus on which formula to use. Let's bring in our parliamentary affairs reporter, Elizabeth Mutuku, who has been following this the entire day and joins us now in the broadcast. Elizabeth, good evening. What transpired today in the Senate?
Good evening, Bakar Abdullahi. It was just an interesting day from the word go, with senators and emotions running high over resources, some calling for more amendments, and others are still feeling this is the time for Senate to make a decision. But it started by amendment by Sakaja, Linturi to Sakaja's amendment, where they voted over that to have 250 billion shillings to 27 billion shillings shared to counties with the current formula, and the surplus, that is 46 billion to 76 billion shillings, shared with the current with the new formula. And this amendment by Linturi actually passed with 25 delegation, all senators passing the amendment, which means it will be applied. But then there were more amendments by more senators, like Wamatangi, who his amendment many senators, including Sakaja, felt would not be important for it to be debated and voted in for. And that is what has eaten a lot of time for the senators today. But then later on, that didn't happen. But then Speaker ruled out on it happening after today's sitting. That means on Thursday it will be discussed and voted in for. Then there is an interesting bit where nominated Senator Were brought also an amendment to have after we have over 346 billion shillings, then that way we can have the new formula. But then there is an interesting bit which came out today, that the senators today, they are not fighting because of the 316 billion shillings, but they are requesting the national government, which today is holding over 85% of the national cake, to have more resources to the counties. I think that is where the bone of contention is. But today, just like the other time, the Senate and the House leadership, they didn't have the numbers. That is what actually I can tell you.
Elizabeth Mutuku, the last time that Senate adjourned, last Tuesday, there seemed to have been an agreement or some sort of a mutual understanding of reaching a consensus. That has not happened. The Senate was adjourned today for a record 8th time. To any Kenyan who is watching this, and you as a political reporter, is there any hope of a consensus?
yes, there is hope for a consensus, but remember this is all about counties. It's not about politics. It's all about the resources going to the counties. So each and every senator is fighting to have more resources. And this, just like CRA has said, they will need to come back together to sit together, both the winning side, which is Team Kenya, and also the other side, to come together in order for Kenyans to move on. But then after I spoke to the majority leadership in the House, they told me that it is not as bad as it looks, because some amount has been released to the counties. That means also the counties are still moving on, though it's not with the resources required. But remember, Thursday, according to Speaker, they will have to discuss 2 more amendments. Amendment by Wamatangi, Senator for Kiambu, which is a further amendment to Sakaja's amendment. And Sakaja's amendment, for your information, is to have the resources or the new formula shared, being applied after we have enough resources to the county. That means we continue having the same parameters, having the same basis, having the same current formula we have to share the 316 billion shillings. Then after that, we'll be able to share with the new formula when we have more resources. And we are looking forward on Thursday to see whether we will have a progress. I will hope that there will be a mediation committee which was called in for, though they never agreed. Some senators decided to have their formula, which they presented today, and which has passed, by the way. The amendment by Mithika Linturi has passed, and then we are looking forward to have more.
All right, it seems amendments after amendments, and we hope for a consensus come Thursday. Elizabeth Mutuku is our political affairs reporter and parliamentary affairs reporter as well. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that detailed analysis of what has happened in the Senate today. Moving on, the Deputy President, William Ruto, has threatened the so-called deep state and the system in attempts to frustrate his 2022 presidential bid. Ruto says he is not afraid to face the system come 2022. His remarks come in days after KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli and Jubilee Deputy Vice Chairman David Murade endorsed Raila Odinga for presidency.
Hii serikali ya Jubilee, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunatishiwa mambo mingi, choices have consequences. Nyinyi hamufai kwa sababu mko na kesi ya kule na ni kesi ya uongo. Ni vile tu tunaambiwa hata saa hii. Tunatishiwa ati iko system, ati iko deep state, ati iko watu watatuibia kura. Hata mkipiga kura namna gani, kuna watu wameketi mahali fulani wataamua. Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa watu tunawangojea. Hiyo deep state tunangojea. Na hiyo system tunangojea. Watakuja na system, sisi tutakuja na wananchi na Mungu. Na tutaona vile hii kazi itaendelea.
You're watching TV47 News tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. 17 minutes past 9 p.m. Time for us to take a short break. We still have a lot lined up for you. We'll be back with much more after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. Thank you for choosing to stay with us. Now, all the 47 counties have recorded at least a COVID-19 case. This is according to the Ministry of Health, that says Samburu County is the latest county to record a case. Zainab Mohammed has the details.
Almost 5 months into the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, all the 47 counties have now recorded a COVID-19 case, with Samburu County being the last county to record a case. According to the Ministry of Health, the county has now surpassed most counties with 10 cases as of Tuesday.
Samburu, which was the last county that was unscathed, now has cases, and today has 10 cases of coronavirus.
And with Nairobi County now recording a total of 16,119 cases, the ministry says the capital city is struggling to achieve the 300-bed capacity, as most of its bed capacity comes from facilities outside the Nairobi Metropolitan Service.
Without collaboration between the private and national government sector, Nairobi has to put more effort in being able to meet the 300-bed minimum requirements.
The ministry now recommends NMS to come up with proper projections on how the epicenter of COVID-19 transmissions in Kenya can sustain its cases.
We do recommend continued partnership, as I've mentioned, particularly in NMS with our private sector facilities. We do know in terms of provision of care in Nairobi, there's a 50-50 balance, with provision primarily between private sector and public sector, and therefore partnerships become crucial at this point.
This is as the number of COVID-19 cases in the country rises to 27,425 cases after 497 more people tested positive for the virus in the last 24 hours.
Nairobi continues to lead today with 236 cases. Kiambu has 45, Kajiado has 26, Mombasa has 19, Machakos 19.
372 patients have recovered after receiving treatment from various hospitals across the country, as 15 more people succumbed to the virus. For TV47, I'm Zainab Mohammed.
Thank you, Zainab Mohammed, for that report. Elsewhere, leaders and government officials have pledged to restore peace at the volatile Kiambu and Kajiado border in a bid to end this week's long clashes at Ndeia area located at the border of the two counties. Recent conflicts in the area saw Kiambu Governor James Nyoro and several security officials run for cover following an ambush by young men armed to the teeth with bows, arrows and spears on Sunday.
In yet another attempt to end clashes at the Kiambu-Kajiado border at Ndeia, local leaders, government officials and other stakeholders from both counties met on Tuesday at the Bomas of Kenya, seeking to find a lasting solution to the security crisis in the area. Among the leaders who attended the peace discussions include Kiambu Governor James Nyoro, his Kajiado counterpart Joseph Olelenku, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea, and his Central Kenya counterpart Wilfred Nyangwanga, among other leaders. An unconfirmed number of people have since been reported dead, with scores more injured from the persistent instances of cattle rustling that have seen dozens of livestock stolen in Ndeia.
Wizi ya kila uchao, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Kwani sisi hapana binadamu?
We don't want to escalate hiyo wizi kwa jamii. Hatusemi kwamba ni Mkikuyu ameiba, ni Wakikuyu wameiba. Hatusemi ni Wamasai wameiba. Ni mwizi moja, so let's restrict the vocabulary kwa yule mwizi moja ambaye anaiba.
Leaders and security officers are now urging residents to use proper channels whenever another case of cattle theft arises instead of waging personal vendetta.
Hatutaki watu 500 ama 200 na mishale ama na mapanga ama na mikuki wanafuata mbuzi 5. What is that? Kika ripoti kwa polisi, nataka tukuja kusema kwamba Nuno alielezwa na hakuna hatua alichukua. Ama county commissioner aliambiwa hakuna hatua ilichukuliwa. Na hizi lazima zifuatwe immediately.
These people have a solution for their problem. Chairman, I believe these people have a solution. Manyara na Ndikoisa walisimama wakasema mtueleze tutarudisha ngombeni. Na wale wazee pia, the two old men who spoke very honorably, walisema tumechoka kuibiwa kila siku. Na nyinyi kama mmekuwa mkiibia watu kila siku, hata sisi tumechoka. Hatuwezi kubali hiyo.
Wale watu ambao wataleta peace ni wenyewe. Watu wenyewe. Wa upande ule na upande huu. And I would want to suggest, Chairman, ilikubalia ni suggest, vile governor amesema, wazee wa upande huu washikana na wazee wa upande ule.
The peace talks come at a time when security personnel have been deployed to the volatile area to restore order. David Muthoka, TV47.
Moving on, the Interfaith Council has developed new guidelines for the safe and phased reopening of places of worship in the country. The council has now increased the number of those in attendance, depending on the capacity of a worship place. Nanok Lorraine reports on the new guidelines.
The Interfaith Council has reviewed the level of compliance and the situation in order to determine the transition to phase 1 of the planned phases of reopening of the places of public worship in the country. Under the new guidelines, the number of congregants should be determined by the size of the space available, as worshippers maintain a 1.5 meter distance. The worship time limit has been extended to 90 minutes, while the age limit was revised to above 6 years and below 65 years. Practices including wearing face masks, hand washing before and after worship, regular disinfection of places of worship, and use of thermal guns should be adhered to. Funerals that were restricted to 15 people only will increase their attendance to 100 persons, but must follow the Ministry of Health's guidelines.
We all would wish to have big occasions to bid farewell to our loved ones, but we must not create an opportunity to put others in danger because of our carelessness and lack of discipline.
Kenyans and especially young people have been urged to comply with these guidelines to curb the spread of the virus.
A special appeal goes to the young people. You young people are full of life and you love being together. But for this same reason, you can be an easy avenue for this virus to reach, especially our elderly and sick, if you do not take precautions.
Nanok Lauren, TV47.
The Orange Democratic Party has elected Professor Catherine Muma as the party's election board chairperson in a meeting that was led by the party leader Raila Odinga. Other members in the election board are Abdullahi Dirie, Richard Tairo, Sentei Nchoe, and Emily Awita. The party also elected Professor George Sihanya as the national chairman of the National Disciplinary Committee. The committee will comprise of Ramadan Abubakar, Mumbi Ngaru, Seth Kukusie, and Dr. Florence Omosa. Moving on, the Parliamentary Committee on Education has urged TSC and NAT to sort out the long-standing stalemate that continues to ensue between the two parties and has seen more than 30,000 teachers missing out on promotions and salary increment. This comes after calls for the National Union of Teachers demanding the teachers' employer to fully implement the 2017 CBA without biasness.
With a record 32,556 teachers missing out on the CBA signed between the Teachers Service Commission and Kenya National Union of Teachers, the two parties continue to read from different scripts, as witnessed Tuesday morning when they appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Education. Kenya National Union of Teachers accusing the teachers' employer of not honoring the 2017 CBA and managing teachers through blackmail and corruption.
After the CBA was negotiated and registered and signed, NAT went to court to seek for the agency fee. Court issued an order to that effect, and that hasn't been implemented, and that is basically why it is still a dispute.
TSC Chair Nancy Macharia, however, rubbished claims by the giant teachers union, claiming the two parties were all on the negotiations table and the Commission has not violated the terms of the CBA.
So what I'm saying is that the matter at that time we all withdrew. That's done with. We withdrew all our cases, not withdrew theirs, we also withdrew ours. And that's gone. This is a new case after actually we signed the CBA and actually we paid all the teachers for the 2 years.
Disagreement on promotions and salary increment has soured relations between TSC and NAT, and teachers seem to be the pawns in the high-stake battle.
The employer has been enticing teachers using bloggers to scare teachers to get out of the union to benefit in that.
According to the 2017 CBA, teachers were entitled to salary increment and promotion that included 54 billion shillings. The CBA had been spread over 4 years with its execution starting on July 2017 and its fourth and final phase in July this year. NAT now wants the Parliamentary Committee on Education to unlock the stalemate. Eli Logova, TV47.
Thank you, Eli Logova, for that report. Half an hour past 9 p.m. You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. Time for us to take another short break. We still have much more lined up for you. More so, a discussion. We'll be talking to the spokesperson of Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko, Ben Mulwa, after this break. You can be part of that discussion. Text us on 22047. The hashtag to use is TV47 News Tonight. We'll be back with that discussion after this break. Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abubakar Abdullahi. Now, after months of protracted power battles with the members of the County Assembly, the Nairobi County Assembly Speaker, Beatrice Elachi, resigned today. Elachi, however, is not the first to resign from a docket in the county named after the capital. Tonight we speak to Ben Mulwa, the man who speaks on behalf of the governor of the Nairobi County, Mike Mbuvi Sonko. And Ben Mulwa joins us now on the broadcast. Good evening, Ben. Thank you for making time for us tonight on TV47.
A very good evening to you.
Ben, in a statement earlier, which you shared, and this was shared, you said that, and quote, the governor does not wish to comment on the resignation of the speaker. If need be, he will issue a comprehensive statement later. Why is the governor not responding to the resignation, yet the reason as to why the speaker cited her resignation touches on the governor?
First of all, the very dishonest and she made very interesting allegations this morning. Mm-hmm. In our view, I don't think that the governor wishes to respond to the kicks of a dying horse.
Well, she alleges, among other things, and I quote what Beatrice Elachi has said in a statement, that, quote, Governor Sonko, you cannot go on threatening people's lives and their families. Why is the man whom you speak on his behalf allegedly threatening people's families?
I am not aware of any single threat that the governor has ever issued against anyone. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, if there were those kinds of threats, then the media is not where you go with that kind of information. You go to a police station, you go to the DCI. There are institutions that are supposed to handle that. So as I said, and I made it clear, this is a case of a dying horse, and it would be a waste of the governor's time and also a waste of the responsibilities that the people of Nairobi have given him to start responding to people who are seeking sympathy and public attention from their own quarters. Elachi is 104% responsible for the misfortunes that have befallen her. She has been on the front line championing for impunity, championing for lawlessness, championing for disregard for the rule of law. So the governor does not wish to be party to that. If anything, the governor has been on record insisting and requesting the speaker to observe the law, because she has really damaged the reputation of the Nairobi County Assembly by the kind of shenanigans that she has presided over in the last few months.
Then you are alleging that she has damaged the reputation of the county. In which way can you substantiate that she has done so?
Absolutely. You remember, immediately the governor was arraigned in court. That was in December. By the next month, that was in January, the speaker went to court seeking an advisory from the Supreme Court to allow her to become the governor or to start acting as the governor. That was the first indicator of somebody who does not understand the Constitution and her responsibility. Secondly, remember, she made a pronouncement seeking to or advising people who had been suspended in the executive arm of the county government to return. Of course, again, that was in infringement on a docket that are not within our purview. You remember as well, the speaker herself presented a budget to the county assembly on April 2nd, insisting that this was a budget that was supposed to help finance NMS and all that. Yet she did not follow the due procedure. Eventually, it took the intervention of the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya to nullify that budget. A month ago, you remember, the speaker came up with something she called the sessional paper on revenue framework for Nairobi, where she went ahead to create a sessional paper, forced it down on the assembly, made sure that she passed it. I don't know whether she went ahead even to gazette the same, but these are some of the illegalities whereby, and they are so glaring, to the extent that you cannot even find a place to plant the name of Governor Sonko.
Well,
on the flip side, you remember
Ben, there has been a back and forth. There has been a back and forth between the Speaker and the Governor, and you are justified to say that. Amongst such instances is when she returned the County Assembly Appropriation Bill of 2020. In 2019, the bid to impeach, of course, was a heated topic as well. You say these are personalized issues. Why is it then that she is not the first one citing difficulty in working with the governor? We have an ex-deputy governor who cited almost the same things.
But in the way, and Abu Bakr, I'm very happy you asked that question. One of the key things that perhaps many Kenyans have not come to terms with is the fact that Governor Sonko is a stickler to the rule of law and a stickler to constitutional obligations. Elachi has been, and as I've outlined in a few cases, has been on the front line looking for avenues to circumvent the law, circumvent the constitution, and do things that are even outside the mandate of the county assembly. And as outlined, I think, in Article 181 or 182 of the Constitution. And these are some of the things that will definitely run anyone roughshod with the governor, because if you are not willing to follow the law, and if you are not willing to follow the Constitution, then it becomes impossible actually to work with the governor. Because all these issues that I've highlighted, for example, I'll give you a very specific example. When Elachi presented that budget on April 2nd, the governor returned it as is required by the law, Section 24 of the County Governments Act, with a memorandum. What did the Elachi do? Elachi decided to dismiss that law or that memorandum, even without following the law. It actually ended up taking the intervention of the Attorney General. And you know, the Attorney General is like the senior most lawyer in the country, who is the legal advisor to the national government. So what I'm trying to say is, as people may have all these issues. If indeed, like you are citing even the issue of the former deputy governor, I do not want to delve into that because that is a matter that rested more than 2 years
Ben,
ago.
the question is, your answer to the reason as to why Elachi used this statement was that these are personalized issues. I'm asking you, why is it not that she is not the only one? Those who have left office, some who have resigned, cite the same thing, citing difficulty with the county boss.
I've just explained to you. You see, most and almost all those who have been saying that they have difficulties working with the governor is because their thinking was Nairobi City County government is still the same as it used to be under the mayors and the chairman before, and even the former administration, whereby anything would go, whereby the rule of law was non-existent or secondary. So as long as you are not within or doing your work within the confines of the law, believe you me, you are on a definite warpath with Governor Sonko, and that is the position that the government has maintained.
All right, Ben, you have insisted on people following the law and the legality of some of the issues that we have discussed. Nonetheless, 3 years ago, the governor was elected as the most popularly elected governor with more than 870,000 votes. Tonight, he is without a deputy governor. The county he leads lacks a speaker. We see chaos often in the county assembly. Is first the governor, whom you speak on his behalf again, a lame duck governor, Ben?
No, not at all. Actually, if anything, it is the opposite. The governor has a very firm grip of what is happening in Nairobi. And the issue of the deputy governor was dispensed with a long time ago. As you might be aware, he nominated the deputy governor way back in January, even before the president signed the amendments to the County Governments Act. And unfortunately, somebody went to court, I think a resident of Nairobi. So the county assembly cannot proceed vetting the candidate until that matter is concluded in court. You have also mentioned about the fracas in the county assembly. I mean, the governor heads the executive arm. The speaker is the one who has been in charge of the county assembly. So it would only be fair for those questions to be directed to Elachi, who was even caught on video the other day requesting the police to shoot and Nyonga MCAs. I mean, gradually, over time, it is becoming evident who has been the problem. So the governor really wishes to distance himself with people who are making funny allegations or funny accusations in public just to seek sympathy. Let everybody carry their own cross. The governor has assumed his responsibilities, and he has been tackling his challenges within the confines of the law. So he expects everybody, if anybody has, as you are citing those people who have been resigning, citing difficulties, if they could specifically cite specific challenges or legal hurdles that they have experienced in their relationship with the governor, they are free to move to court. So
fair enough, Ben. You say let everyone carry their cross. Let's talk of the cross of the governor that he was elected to carry on behalf of the residents of Nairobi. The Nairobi Metropolitan Service, of course, has come into the play in as far as services are concerned in the county of Nairobi. You say the governor is fully in charge. To an observer's point of view, it seems as though he's not. It seems as though the Nairobi Metropolitan Service is running the show in the county of Nairobi.
You see, one thing you have to agree, you can never be responsible for what people think or how people perceive things. And one of the prime reasons as to why the governor agreed to partner with the national government through the deed of transfer, because within 2 years he had undertaken so much transformation across Nairobi, and through the same period he had made an assessment in terms of the actual capacity that the Nairobi County government could deliver services to the people, vis-a-vis the actual resources that were available. And his estimation or his projection was that with a partnership with the national government, it would have been easier for Nairobi to accomplish more within a shorter period of time. So when people infiltrate that process and they derail it and they start undertaking activities that are completely outside the confines of the law.
And when you say, Ben, when you say people, you're making reference to?
The governor has been clear. You realize there are individuals who have been doing things with outside the confines of the law since the.
And I'm asking who are these individuals?
Specific examples. You realize the first case was the issue of KRA illegally opening bank accounts on behalf of the Nairobi County government, contrary to the Public Finance Management Act. We are talking about the Public Service Commission purporting to second staff to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, contrary to existing laws and labor laws. We are talking about the continued infiltration of dockets that were not within the deed of transfer, because the government only transferred 4 functions. You remember a response in April, I think it was on the 9th of April, where the governor through the county secretary wrote to the National Treasury, stating categorically that he will not submit the kind of information they were seeking because finance was not one of the dockets that were transferred. So I think behind these actions there are individuals. I cannot come here on national TV to discuss individuals, but these actions, if there are letters that were written, then there are individuals who are behind that. So those are the individuals or the institutions that the governor has a problem with.
All right, Ben, I understand we are out of time, but nonetheless, there seems to be visibly, of course, and this you will agree or disagree with me on, a bad blood between the Nairobi Metropolitan Services and the governor himself. Last week, he likened Badi to the late Saddam Hussein, who is not known for a good reputation. He accuses the NMS leadership of trying to overstep its boundaries and undermining his authority.
Absolutely correct. And on that, I 100% agree with you, because if you remember the president's speech on March 18th, President Uhuru Kenyatta stated that that day marks the beginning of a collaboration and a partnership between the Nairobi City County government and the national government. Immediately the president finished his speech, like the deed of transfer clearly states that the county government shall collaborate with the national government in mapping out the programs or the projects they wish to undertake. There should be regular updates, because the NMS essentially is a creation of the county government, not the other way around. So the NMS is under the county government. But what Buddy has been doing, like even recently when he was laying claim to the governor's official residence, you realize these are activities that are outside his mandate. These are activities that are informed by ignorance, and the governor feels that he is elected and he is established in office by the constitution. Justice Helen Wasilo on June 18th ruled that the NMS does not exist in any law. Before then, the LSK had made a letter to the same body clearly stating that he does not exist in law, so they cannot engage or respond to his communication. So Buddy should have taken time, as was advised by the president, to sit down with the governor, make even an understanding of the dynamics of the city, so that they can be able to collaborate in all this. And you realize, even up to now,
Ben, you talk of Ben. Let me interject you at that. Let me interject you at that point. You talk of collaboration between the two. Buddy has, in many occasions, stated that he is not a politician. Of course, he is a military man, and he has no interest in politics. His is a responsibility that was assigned by the president. There are those who point fingers to the governor and the county itself of tough-headedness in this collaboration. Finally, what do you say to that?
And that is actually what I was stating. If you go to City Hall, especially the deed of transfer made it very clear that correspondence, especially to the county, shall be through the county secretary. And there are countless number of letters emanating from the Nairobi City County government seeking audience on several issues, including the ones I mentioned about revenue collection, about the secondment of staff, about encroachment on functions that were not transferred. And the unfortunate bit is that there has been barely any response, or there has been no responsiveness from the part of the national government. So the governor cannot be accused of being at loggerheads with the NMS. All right. The NMS, in the governor's perspective, came in with the wrong mindset, thinking that now they had been given an opportunity to overthrow an elected and legitimately installed governor in office, and that is what the governor has a problem. If Buddy could bother to find even a moment just to have a conversation with the governor, because this collaboration, for example, now health is under the
Ben, I understand we are extremely out of time to continue with this discussion. But interestingly, you say if Buddy can look for the governor, is there a possibility of the governor looking for Buddy? In less than 10 seconds.
As I've indicated, there's a lot of correspondence at City Hall seeking discussions with the NMS, but zero response from the other part. Let them also demonstrate that they are not playing politics. Let them demonstrate commitment to offering services to the people of Nairobi and establish a framework to collaborate with the Nairobi City County government. And I can guarantee you the deed of transfer will succeed.
Ben Mulwa, thank you, the spokesperson for Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. Thank you for making time for us tonight on TV 47. All right, let's get to more news and move on. A row has ensued between mechanics and Embu County Assembly following what the mechanics say is unwillingness from the county government to pick ambulances from the garage after they have been repaired. The mechanics say some ambulances have been laying at the garage for close to 3 years now.
A good number of hospitals in Embu County are in need of ambulances, which are vital in transporting patients in need of emergency medical help. This is after several county ambulances broke down and have been laying idle in garages. Speaking exclusively to TV 47, a mechanic who sought anonymity revealed that there are some ambulances that have been laying in the yard for close to 3 years now, despite being in good shape.
Moja hii inaweza toka hapa na iende, ni miguu. Haya, hii ingine tulikuwa tumemaliza ikaenda mpaka inspection na tukamalizia. Sasa kutoka hapo mpaka leo niambiwa yeka sendeni gasket, tangu hapo akienda mpaka leo nyewe walitoa miguu, bado iko hapa. Halafu bado gari iko hapo inaguruma na inaweza enda.
Another garage owner in Embu is appealing to the county government to remove the ambulances from her yard. She says she has not been paid a dime for fixing the county vehicles.
Tumewafanyia magari yao, tumewatengenezea magari zao, zingine tumerelease, zingine hatujarelease, na wako na ndeni ya kutoka 3 milioni kwenda juu.
Wanakuja mara moja kwa mwaka, wanauliza ni nini na ni nini, halafu wanaenda tena. Hautaona tena. Watulipe storage charge, halafu wavuta magari yao itoke hapa, sababu sasa hii kiwanja imekuwa ni kama ya county. Wanakuja kundampu magari hapa.
However, Embu County Director of Health responding to the matter say that Embu County has enough working ambulances which are already in use, especially this time the nation is fighting to contain the novel coronavirus.
If a vehicle can have a mechanical problem, we always liaise. We have a transport manager here. We always say that there is this and this and this. Then the ambulance, standby ambulances are 2 in level 5. Actually there are 3. Every sub-county has. But in case one has a mechanical problem, there is always a way how we connect.
With the dire need of ambulances services during these coronavirus pandemic times, these motor vehicles have been left to rust away in different garages within Embu County. Mwege William for TV47.
Elsewhere, a serious drama and a political confrontation was witnessed in Trans Nzoia County following 2 factions that saw a burial program interrupted for 15 minutes. Sitatunga Ward MCA Daniel Kaburu, who was addressing mourners, was forced to cut short his speech and was chased away. The incident happened in Kiminini constituency. Boniface Baraza has the details.
Munipigia kwa makofi? Sasa mo bila chimbita lakini hemba wali kwalala. Pepela jana kamera chikuresa bot.
This is Daniel Kaburu, Statunga Ward MCA, speaking in his mother tongue. The MCA had turned a burial ceremony into a political platform which did not go well down with the mourners who attacked him. The microphone was snatched from him. He was forced to sit down before being chased away. The MCA was saved by a nominated colleague, Joseph Trikoy. This even as the Minister of Health regulations and guidelines that bar any form of social gatherings. Joseph Pepela is a political affairs activist in Trans Nzoia County.
Mimi ndiye Pepela, vile nimeingia mwenzangu akiongea, asira ikashika watu wachache, lakini nakashifu kile kitendo. Tunataka baba tulivyomjua mama yangu alisoma kule Lugulu. Kwa hivyo nimekuja hapa kwa heshima. Hatujakuja hapa kwa siasa. Mimi ninapofanya siasa yangu kule Saboti na tunapokuwa na mazishi ama shida hapa Kiminini, tunakuja kusaidiana. Na mwisho, muendelee kutuombea sisi wanasiasa. Mimi siwezi onyesha kidole mwanasiasa mwingine, siwezi onyesha kidole mtu mwingine. Sisi tunafanya siasa ya amani na hatutaki vita wala migawanyiko.
Wacha sisi kama viongozi tufanye kazi ambayo tulichaguliwa, kila mtu alime mka wake.
Ninasema siasa ya kifua na kujua nani mwenye nguvu ilipitwa na wakati.
Leaders who attended the burial led by Kakai Bisau, who is the infrastructure advisor at the office of the Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, condemned the act.
Wale niliwaona hapa, mjue pia mimi nilizaliwa Tao. Nimeona mkaleta rabsha hivi, msitumike vibaya na viongozi. Mkija hapa mkuje pole pole. Na wao wengi nimeona vijana hapa wakisukuma ule mheshimiwa mwingine ni vijana wa town. Na waheshimiwa pia tuangalie, tukienda mazishi tujue vile tunaongea. Nasikia so isiwe ni kwamba tunaanza kuvurutana, haifai. Wakati wa siasa utafika, tutarudi, kila mtu ataomba nini? Ataomba kura yake.
Siasa ya kusema mimi kama sio mimi sio yule, hiyo siasa imepita na wakati. Mimi nilikuwa Jubilee na mheshimiwa Kakai wa Bisau. Mheshimiwa Raila na wengine walikuwa NASA. Leo hii Raila na Uhuru wanakaa pamoja, wakai pamoja. So wanakaa pamoja.
Kuna siku ya kiyama. Na siku hiyo kila mtu atasimama mbele ya kiti cha hukumu. Lakini kuna siku ambayo watu wanatisha nao wengi. Wanasema tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 2022. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie leo, hiyo siku itapita kama vile siku ya tarehe 8 2007 na 2017 ilipita.
The incident just serves to indicate how rife 2022 general elections campaign are amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Boniface Barasa, TV47, Kiminini Sub-County, Trans Nzoia County.
Thank you, Boniface Baraza from Trans Nzoia for that report. From Trans Nzoia now, let's get to the world of sports, and the Kenya Football Federation Electoral Board has released the